Live from Austin, Texas, with host Rosie Newberry. Local trends, shopping, and more. This is Studio 512.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today for Studio 512. Austin, of course, is an art hub, and our next guest is a great example of local talent. Ann Shackelford is a mixed media artist whose practice is connected with somatic sound experiences that she offers to the public. She's here to help connect some of those dots for us. Ann, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You and I talked off camera. Okay, I'm going to ask you about your background as an artist. I know that's basically your whole life story, but if you wouldn't mind telling our audience a little bit about how you got inspired by art and then how you gravitated towards mixed media being kind of your media of choice.
There was so much that led up to it, but just as a child being obsessed with fairy tales and magic and costume design, I would pour through books and I would just be gravitating towards all the beautiful princess costumes. And then I had to make them in any way that I could. And then I started getting into fire dancing, and you needed costumes for that. So I started building out costumes for the fire dancing. And then I got into headdress design and jewelry design. And then I got into body painting, and then that went to like acrylic on canvas, and then I got into resin, and then I got into working with wood, and now I sort of do it all together.
Wow. I mean, it's circuitous, but there's like a through line here of like the fantasy, the art, the, being drawn to something imaginative that's been happening. Do you feel like that's accurate?
Yes. Yes, definitely. I want to create everything that I just am inspired by, and I'm inspired by so much. So it's hard to kind of like narrow down and like, okay, I'm going to put my time into this today because this is what I have to. Yeah, it's sometimes very hard.
With your creative brain, I bet. Yeah, but now you focus on a lot of mixed media pieces, which is good because it still has a little bit of like pieces and parts from different things.
Yes, exactly.
But describe for us, for folks who are watching at home, what an example of one of your mixed media pieces would look like.
So right now, I've taken what I've learned from working with resin for the last 5 years and what I've learned with working with wood. And so I salvage wood from various mills around Austin.
Oh, that's cool.
And in Durango, because I have the cabin in Durango. And then I take this wood and prep it and sand it and get it all looking pretty. And then I take a MDF board and I connect the two.
What's an MDF board?
MDF. So like Home Depot, and it's just like a board.
Okay.
And then I can cut it kind of like a puzzle piece.
Okay, like plywood or something like that.
Yeah. And then it fits the live edge line of the wood that I've salvaged. That's like either mesquite or aspen or pecan. And then so I build it together so that it's like a seamless wall art piece. And then I can start the pyrography, which is the wood burning. And then that's taken, like, I've been wood burning now for about 1.5 years, and it's just leveled up so much, like the detail that I put into it. So now, instead of it taking me maybe like 2 to 3 weeks to create a piece, it takes me 2 to 3 months to finish a piece. Yeah. So the piece that I think you're going to talk about here in a moment is one that I just finished. There's a sister piece that I'm working on right now that I'm really excited about, and they're gonna look really cool together.
Well,
so.
you've done my job for me.
Sorry.
Yes. Now let's talk about your newest piece where the pattern flows.
Yes.
And kind of what the idea was behind it.
So I really enjoy mandala art. So like on my arm, this is a mandala. I did not design this because I can't look down at my art all day and be like, where should I have done that differently? but I love living geometry, Mother Nature's blueprint, and I love incorporating that into my art. I think a lot of us artists, we want to pull nature into our art because we're always inspired by it, and it brings us back to our true self, and we're so disconnected from it. And so my artwork helps me to stay aligned with my true nature. And the mandala, when I'm burning in these patterns, it requires a lot of not just focus, but a lot of measuring and figuring it all out. And it's more than just an art project for me. It's a whole other experience.
It sounds a little bit meditative.
Right. Yes, there you go. Yes, it keeps me grounded.
Wow. Okay. And actually, I did want you to help me with kind of the connection here between like mental health and your art. You do sound and breath healing. So talk to me about how those two things go together.
Yeah. So this might sound a little woo-woo she-she, but my art studio is also a sound studio. So I have sound bowls and my chimes and sage and incense and all of that. So I actually bless my artwork. And while I'm working on my artwork, I hum. So humming your voice is
I just
actually
learned this earlier this week.
Yeah, so Laura and I, you're probably from Laura, and she and I both, we do the same sort of thing where, you know, we're trying to get ourselves recalibrated to our own frequency, to our true frequency, and sound healing can help us with that. Art can help us with that. So I'm literally infusing my art with a vibratory state, a frequency that is closer to our natural frequency. But yours is your own, mine is my own, and humming is your way of tuning yourself up in the best, most powerful way you can. So when I hum and I'm doing my artwork, I'm actually connecting vibratory with the art that I'm creating. And then when people hopefully see it and enjoy it on their walls or in their office space, wherever, they can also help to align to their true nature.
Well, and it so helps to hear like the artist's process, to like get an idea of like the love, the effort that went into these pieces. And I think we do have a picture of where the pattern flows to show everybody at home. I mean, this is a gorgeous piece.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy to know that a sister piece is on its way.
Yeah, there's a bigger one that's almost, I've added the color. If you go to my Instagram, you can see where I'm at on it. I'm about to be adding the metal-y thing to it, and then more varnish, and then it's almost done. A little bit more resin and alcohol ink, but
good to know.
Yeah,
and these are pieces for the wall.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I was thinking if they're dinner tables, they would be ruined.
I have done tables. I actually have done tables.
Have you?
Yeah. So if you go to my website, you can see the tables and stuff that I've done. But,
awesome.
But yeah,
with some really cool like reclaimed wood and
some of it reclaimed, some of it I go out and I purchase, you know, some really beautiful pieces. But I started on reclaimed.
I'm obsessed with this one, by the way.
That one, thank you.
Such a cool piece.
That's aspen that I salvaged in Durango, and then butterflies that I actually pulled from a framed collection that my mom had on my wall when I was a kid.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the butterflies and dragonflies in that piece are from a collection that my mom had just put on my wall as a kid.
I am not going to make any assumptions about your age, but decades. These are this.
Yeah.
This is decades worth of love and effort.
Yeah.
And I want to ask about where folks can learn more about your work, because actually you're in a lot of spots around town. So would you mention some of those for me?
Yeah. Right now you can find me at Artworks Gallery and Primal Arts Gallery and Art Us Co. and Art for the People and my South Austin studio. So you can always make an appointment and come by and see what I'm working on and what's hanging up on my walls. There's always something. And the West Austin studio is coming up November 8th and 9th. And so that would be a good time to come to my studio, because I'm actually going to be pulling a bunch of art from a lot of different places and have it in one place.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, a good time to shop local artists, support local art, y'all. Okay, we appreciate your time today, Ann. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Guys, peruse Ann's work and learn more about what she offers online at chrysalisaustin.com. The following portion of Studio 512 is sponsored by Thomas J. Henry and Texas Yes. Each year, Texas Yes selects lots of Title I elementary schools across Texas and supplies every single one of them, K through 5, those students, with a free school supply kit. Thomas J. Henry has been involved with this initiative for a long time now, so he's joining us virtually today to talk about the Texas Yes Box of Dreams program and how it helps students start their school year on the right foot. It's amazing that you've done this work, Thomas. Can you talk to us about how long you've been supporting Texas Yes?
Yeah, about 9 years ago, I came across Texas Yes, and we developed a partnership to provide these school supplies to children, and it's grown. It's taken momentum, and so this is our 9th year of doing it throughout Texas. So it's been a great partnership with Texas Yes.
Absolutely. So important for our kids to feel like they're starting school confidently. And it's schools all across Texas, including a good number here in Austin. Want to ask why it's important for you and your firm to be involved with initiatives like this?
Well, education is the basis for, what we all tend to grow into in terms of jobs and opportunities and vocations. And so at a very early age, having those tools to reinforce education, to at least have an opportunity to have the school supplies available to you is a real good start and foundation for our children to begin the learning process.
What difference do these school supplies make, not only for the students themselves, but for the families who get to receive them?
At this time of the year, a lot of parents are buying school supplies. They're buying clothing. The budgets that are there for families sometimes don't allow for everything to be covered. So school supplies is just something that can help families, of course, and help the child. So if you're wanting to help a school, I think it's a really good nonprofit organization to support. And I think that they do a good job of making sure that the donations and the resources get to the source that needs it. So for the viewing audience, I would say that would be a great resource if they ever wanted to jump in and help one or two or three kids or 10 or 100 or whatever they could do.
So donating money is going to help them a lot. And of course, what you have done, Thomas, is a really, really big deal. And it's wonderful that you've continued to help out. Thank you for helping support our kids here in Texas.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
You can donate too. Learn more right now at texasyesproject.org and learn more about Thomas J. Henry at tjhlaw.com. The preceding portion of Studio 512 was sponsored by Thomas J. Henry and Texas Yes. Welcome back, folks. You'll probably recognize Xander Caruso, a friend of the show today from Barton Springs Nursery, who we always call a plant pro. But today, he's also joined by Mazzy Lattery, who is on the design team at Barton Springs Nursery, here to talk a little bit more about what they can accomplish. Y'all, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Lovely to see you both. Xander, we get to hang out pretty often, but I always love when you bring a friend in.
Yes.
So let's talk, Mazzy, if we can, about y'all's philosophy when you talk about approaching landscape design.
Yeah, absolutely. So we really focus on making landscapes that are custom to suit personal lifestyles, something that feels just like it can inspire you to have a daily rhythm that's more outdoors. Mm-hmm. And so it could mean having your morning coffee or an evening glass of wine or time for play or just moments to reflect. So we really try to call that into everything that we do with all the plants we place in people's homes. And focus on education too. So you may learn a lot about plants you've never heard of and how that might connect to your personal styles or aesthetics, or maybe there's a scent you really love that we can inspire you to just have a better day. So
I
really
like that.
the heart of what we do.
And this is your focus. You went and got a degree in ecology of all things, and so plants are a big deal to you.
Yes, absolutely.
So asking a plant, we've got two plant pros really is what we have here in the studio.
Yes.
I want to, if I can, Xander, pick your brain about encouraging that outdoor living piece.
Absolutely. And I think our design team works really hard to make sure we're putting the right things in the right place. Mm-hmm. A lot of our native plants, they smell great. There's a lot of great smelling native plants, but also there's water conservation that also goes into it. So we want people to imagine landscapes that exist in Texas rather than a landscape that would exist in England or California or, Michigan.
I'm not going to get the rhododendron bushes that I just saw in Maine a couple months ago that were, the height of this ceiling. They were awesome, but yes. It's just not what Texas has to offer. So let's talk about your artistry in design, Mazzy, if we can. You kind of have what you call living, evolving spaces.
Yeah, so really it's such a fun creative art form. We do a lot of layering of colors and textures, focusing a lot on seasonality, making sure you're always having kind of like a picture to paint that is evolving over time. So you'll see different blooms coming in the spring and then the summer and then the fall. And that seasonal shift is a big piece of art that also kind of ties into the daily rhythms and just being able to engage in always step out and see something that surprises you or a new thing popping up doing its thing. So that's really big for us. And then also just kind of using like vignettes as a way to think about things, like framing things so that when you're walking through your space or sitting from your porch, you're always kind of looking at like a beautiful curated space rather than like just a couple things placed here and there. It's more of telling a story and weaving everything together. Which
takes experience to do. It's not something that most of us can just walk in off the street and be like, well, this is gonna bloom through each season perfectly. So that's why talking to y'all is a really important part of what we're going to discuss here in a second. But if I can, let's touch on your ecology portion, just like the native adaptive plants. And so Xander, if you wouldn't mind starting us off there.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of things that we look through when looking at, I'll start with adapted plants. There's things like crepe myrtles, they're beautiful. We don't tend to use them in a lot of designs, but they do work well. But we'd prefer to go with something like a Texas persimmon that's native. It'll give you fruit, has beautiful bark in the same way.
Is crepe myrtle not
No.
native?
It's native to
I
Asia.
see so many of them, I assumed.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
there are plants that can work adapted, but we tend to go with something that's a little bit more native. And also, we know what works throughout the entire season. So if something's going to bloom in spring, but not the rest of the year, we give you something for the summer. And then we can give you something that only pops up in the fall. So you have this kind of ever-changing landscape. And there's plenty of native Texas plants that do that. We
Yeah.
want people to feel like they're a part of Texas and not somewhere else in the world.
Right,
more
and
than
spending all
anything.
that time and money and water and
Yes,
energy trying to
exactly.
keep something alive that probably isn't going to grow all that great.
Yes.
I'm guessing that you brought me a couple of good examples of something that would be great in a garden today.
Well, these are actually the potted plants. So
Oh,
for
okay.
the house, which almost nothing from Texas can really be potted and put indoors.
Okay.
They love the heat too much, but a lot of these plants can exist either on a patio, like Candelia.
Okay,
That is a
Candelia.
really beautiful little euphorbia. It's kind of waxy, kind of like a succulent.
But it's not prickly, so...
Not prickly,
yeah.
no. It's very, very nice, stately. We have a beautiful bottle tree. This is a little
This is
baby bottle tree.
gorgeous.
Really great. They work in all different kinds of spaces. We have a couple throughout the nursery ourselves. And then we have this lovely ring of fire philodendron. These come from rainforests all around the world, so they can exist in a house very easily or as a patio plant. But with most potted plants, I would say 95% of them, our winters are far too cold. So if you have any of these guys growing outside, you want to bring them inside in the winter.
This is fascinating. Okay, so for potted plants, the indoor stuff, that's the non-Texas stuff.
Pretty much.
All right, good to know. So speaking of pottery, if I can touch on that with you, Mazzy, let's talk about the types of pottery that y'all can offer for some of these gorgeous plants.
Yeah, pots are a great way to bring art into your space. We focus on a lot of handcrafted pottery from all over and use a lot of neutral tones that have different textures to really offer kind of a grounding in your space. So you can have, cool furniture and then something that's a little bit more just natural like this, letting the plant really shine and do its thing.
Yeah, you're selling me a little bit of vision here.
Yeah.
When I see
Yeah.
when I see these, I'm like, oh, the pot itself is gorgeous, and then the plant, it just sets it off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Xander, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that something our design team will do is tell you what plants, especially for indoors, we take a look at if there's a vent here, what kind of lighting is actually coming through the house, pull out the compass, see eastern versus western sun, or what kind of light is coming in. Does this house plant need a lot more light, or can it, hang out in a small corner with not a lot of light? We try to make sure people are getting the right plants for the right space. People think they don't have a green thumb. They just might not have the right plant.
It's possible I don't have the right plant. Okay, and just real quickly, Mazzy, before we let y'all go, it starts with having a conversation with y'all, right? And even if your space is small or if it's really big, you guys can still help.
Totally, yes. Even if it's just a small, weird corner in your backyard that you don't know what to do with, or you have 3 acres and you want to make a big transformation, we're happy to work at any scale and started this because there's so many people at the nursery feeling overwhelmed. So happy to help in whatever service.
Design team can help y'all. All right, check out the pros in person on Bee Caves Road, or online, BartonSpringsNursery.com. The following portion of Studio 512 is sponsored by Power Swabs. Hey y'all, if your teeth are yellowing due to coffee, tea, red wine, or smoking, we might have a suggestion for you. Jeff Kraft says that you can get whiter teeth and a more noticeable smile in just 5 minutes with Power Swabs. Hi, Jeff.
Rosie, how are you? So good to see you and all the viewers out there in Austin. Great to see you all as well. But yes, so excited to talk to you about Power Swabs today. And in 5 minutes, you're going to see results. And that's what we want. We want results fast. But yeah, thanks for having me on today.
I'm so glad that you're here with us virtually. I told you if you're using Power Swabs, I've got to get some right now. So talk to us about Power Swabs and what it is that it does.
Yeah, revolutionary product that was created by Martin Geniger, a leading teeth whitening expert. And he had patients that would come in and he offered this only to his patients for the first 5 years. And then he opened it up the floodgates to the entire world and is going gangbusters. It's been really exciting for Power Swabs over the years. But yeah, it is such an amazing product. And what his patients had said, they want something from the comfort of their own home. They want something that's easy to use. They want something that's affordable and they want to see results quickly. And that is what Power Swabs has done. It has really been a great product for so many people around. And with summer coming up, Rosie, come on, we all want to have a big, bright, white smile.
Yeah, that's right. You get a little tan on, you get your bright looking smile, take some good pictures. All right, talk to us about how Power Swabs works.
So Power Swabs is a two-step process. It's very, very easy. What you're going to do is you're going to get this in the mail. That's all you're going to get. It's going to be a 7-day treatment. So you're going to get 7 standout swabs and 7 whiteout swabs. And then we have another little product that we're going to give you for free. I'll talk to you about that as well. That'll be in the project or the package. So what you're going to do is you're going to crack this open in the morning before you go to work, before you do anything, and rub this all over your teeth. And here's something that some people say is like, oh my gosh, is this going to taste bad? No, I don't even spit it out. I actually just, keep it in. It's totally fine. It tastes really good. But you can focus all over your teeth and you can hyper focus on one tooth. And that's what I really like about this is you can hyper focus on that one tooth. And this is going to lift the stains first, and then it's going to hydrate the teeth, hydrate the enamel. And that is where the sensitivity comes in. And that's what people say they do not want. Well, Power Swabs is different. So then you're going to go ahead and crack open the second process. And this is the whitening agent. This is where all the magic happens. Same thing, 2 minutes all over your teeth. And that is it. You do 7 days. You're going to see up to 6 shades whiter. After the very first use, you're going to see up to 2 shades whiter, and results last up to 6 months. How do you like that?
Sounds good to me. And I think about, us hitting wedding season. There are going to be trips that people are looking forward to in the coming months. 7 days is pretty darn easy as compared to weeks of whitening because you had to space it out because your teeth got sensitive, right?
That's right, exactly. We've all seen the trays, we've seen the strips, we've all seen these products. And a lot of the products, they do work, but at what cost? And that's the thing, the sensitivity comes in. And then once you use it and you have the sensitivity, you never want to do it again. But again, that is why Power Swabs was created, to get rid of the sensitivity so that you can have that instant white smile that you want, again, after the very first use. 2 shades whiter. And here's a great thing about this and what separates it. And people ask all the time because I've got veneers and it works on all dental surfaces. It works on crowns, caps, wooden teeth, natural teeth, whatever you got in your mouth. It's going to whiten up that smile. And that's what I really love.
Yeah, absolutely. This is always where I dime myself and I talk about it. But my front 2 teeth are veneers as well. And I was told they'll just be that color. I had to go to the tooth factory to pick out the color of my front 2 teeth. And they said that will never change. The fact that Power Swabs can work on so many dental surfaces is really surprising.
It really is. And it's something that, viewers that I talk to all the time, every single week, and people have asked me about, my smile. And yes, it just did not come natural. This came with Power Swabs. And I tell people, you've got to take a chance. And I'm sure you have viewers out there as well that they have a great smile, but they don't show it because they've got a couple of yellow teeth or all their teeth are yellow. And we don't want that. We want your viewers to try this. You've got really nothing to lose. And we're going to talk about this great deal in a second, but 50% off, I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that. So again, we want your viewers to try it, and it's going to last up to 6 months. It's a really great deal.
Absolutely. One last thing I will mention is that with those strips, which I think are one of the most popular things out there, is that you don't get all the way to the back teeth. So the fact that that little cotton swab can go all the way around is really good news.
It really is. You can get it. It's super easy to give it. I'm touching the very back of my tooth, and it's really easy. And we've heard that as well. And that is the great thing about Power Swabs. You're going to see the stick here. And again, you can just put it on, and you just keep dipping it back into the solution, and that is how you cover your teeth. But again, the big thing, you're not going to get that sensitivity because we're hydrating the enamel. We're not just covering up the stains. We're lifting the stains. So there's really so many great processes about this.
Of course. All right. You did mention a couple of times a special offer. What do you guys have going on right now?
Yes, we do. 50% off. 50% off your purchase. You're going to get free shipping and handling. You're also going to get this quick stain out sticks. You can put this in your back pocket, your purse, your Volvo, your truck, whatever you got. So if you're going out grabbing a glass of wine and you don't have your toothbrush, nobody wants to carry their toothbrush around anymore. That's back in the day, old school. You just take this out, you're going to twist the solution, and you're going to put this on your teeth, and it's going to go ahead and maintain that white smile until you get home and brush later at night. So again, this is absolutely free, 50% off, and free shipping and handling. But you're going to call the number that's below, the 800 below, or the QR code if we have a QR code up for you guys. And that's how you're going to get this great deal.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much for your time today, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Rosie, thank you so much.
The preceding portion of Studio 512 was sponsored by Power Swabs. Robertson of Plants is here to help us tackle weeds in the garden. And this is actually going to get a little bit philosophical. I'm excited about it. Lance, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to see you as always. So the first thing we're going to get into is the definition of what actually is a weed.
Yeah, you know, in my world, weeds are kind of a bad word because weeds are just a plant you don't want where it is.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. You know, there's a lot of plants that we really love, and something like sunflowers. This is a plant that I think of when I think of like, give me spring flowers, give me something beautiful. Sunflowers is the first flower that comes to mind. But if you have sunflowers growing in your lawn, it's a weed.
Sure.
So you might not want it there. Maybe you can dig it up and put it in your bed. Maybe you're gonna have to deal with it. But again, it's like you said, you want the nice green patches of turf, and then you want flowers or something to be in the place where they're at. So that's really all weeds are, is plants in the wrong place.
Plants in the wrong place. I told you guys it was going to get philosophical. I feel like this is a really interesting way to reframe my brain. So yes, there are some nice ones. I think what we need to talk about, and a big reason you're here today, is how to get rid of those weeds, because I brought up daffodils. I love daffodils, but you said people have a hard time getting rid of them because they're actually a bulb underground. So there is a correct way and an incorrect way to deal with each weed depending on what it is.
Yeah, and you have to know what it is. You know, that's the important part. If you don't know what weed you've got, you might not be able to get rid of it. Sure, we can eventually throw enough chemicals at it if we wanted to and kill anything. We can salt the earth and nothing will ever grow. But
you may not want a scorched earth policy though in your own front yard.
If you have this one particular grass and that's the weed that you're trying to deal with, you may think, I'll just pull it out. But this is sedge grass, and when we grow sedge grass, we use little tiny microscopic pieces of the roots to propagate them.
Whoa.
So if you pull this plant out, you're probably gonna have 3 or 4 plants that come right in its place.
It's like the mythical Hydra, like more heads sprout when you pull it.
And especially if it, you know, if you're really hand pulling weeds a lot, this one is the devil, because like I said, you pull it this week, next week there's 3, you pull those 3, and then there's 10, and you don't know what to do.
And you're gonna think somebody's doing it to you on purpose. Okay, so let's talk about some ways to handle weeds that pop up, for example, in turf or on the lawn.
Sure, especially for turf, because, you know, in Texas we have big lots, we have lots of grass. We've made a lot of selective herbicides for the lawn. So that's something like this right here. You can see it, it might hook up to a hose. It might be something you put in a pump sprayer. It's not going to damage grasses. It's only really going to kill broadleaf plants.
Okay.
So it's going to kill most of what we think of as weeds in the turf. You'll still be able to mow it, have a nice good green patch of grass, but these are really good if you've already got weeds. You're not preventing them, you're killing what's there. And this is something that you spray over the top of everything. It'll leave your grass alone, and you can kind of have your grass back.
I like the thoughtlessness of because there's a lot of thoughtfulness that has to go into it from the top, but the fact that you can just spray this all over your yard, you'll still have grass, you're fine. I like that. All right, let's talk about in plant beds.
In plant beds, so in plant beds, you've got a lot of broadleaf weeds. Like this is mint. Now,
mint will grow everywhere.
I love mint. You might call mint a weed. You may be fighting mint somewhere right now. I love mint. What I don't like is I don't like when grass grows into my mint patch, because I'm going to use this for spearmint and peppermint, mint juleps. I mean, this is going to be part of what I'm doing. I just don't want grass in it. So just like we have stuff that you can put in the lawn that you wouldn't want to use in the beds, we have the opposite as well. We have stuff that will only kill the grass, that won't kill all the broadleaves. So it's kind of the opposite of the leaf. Now, certainly if there's something like this that you're going to be eating, you don't want to put chemicals on stuff that you're going to eat, right? So I'm probably not going to be able to spread this, but that's why mint is great. Mint is going to choke out everything eventually. So I know
That's why I think of it as a weed.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about mint. Mint is going to do its thing. Mint is going to choke out everything else. So I'll let it go. I'm not going to use something like this. I might use it in my sunflowers, but sunflowers are also something that if you really have to get rid of it, you'd probably rather pull it.
Yeah.
So some of this is just for ease.
And you can pull sunflowers, just for the record, everybody, I did ask.
Sunflowers you can pull, they're great, they go away. You're not gonna have them come back like the sedge might come back. But it's something that, again, it's only a weed if it's in the wrong place. If you can dig it up and put it somewhere else, maybe it's not a weed anymore.
That's a really good point. Okay, I want to know about weed cloth. It's a concept I have not heard of before today. In our last minute, talk to us about that.
Yeah, weed cloth is great and horrible. So weed cloth is a plastic or cloth barrier that we stick. Most often you see it in xeriscape. Underneath rocks or gravel, it's this black plastic that you're looking at. The reason why it can be great is it stops a lot of lawn weeds or weeds that are very small. You can pull them very easily. It can't latch into the ground. So you can get rid of something like this nutsedge because you can really get the whole plant out of the ground and it can't come back. Where it becomes dangerous is like in the photo where if you are like me sometimes and you let your weeds grow for months before you decide to pull them, once they've latched into that fabric, you basically need to take out the fabric. And if you've got big rolls of fabric that you put under all this beautiful rock, you're talking about a lot of work that you're gonna have to do. So if you do it, it will very much help you stay on top of your weeds. But you have to stay on top of the weeds for it to be helpful. Because if it's not, you're gonna be doing a lot more than just pulling weeds.
We have to leave it there, Lance. As always, thank you for your expertise. Guys, you can get free answers to what's going on in your yard from Lance. Plants.org is where you wanna get started. The following portion of Studio 512 is sponsored by Typing.com. Hey, did you know schools across the country are actually bringing typing back? Typing.com is now a platform that's used in millions of classrooms across the world. And our guest today, Dan Trepanier, is here to tell us virtually more about this shift. So Dan, this started with a skills gap. Basically, talk to us about what's happening to our younger generations and why.
Yeah, so kids nowadays are growing up with technology at their fingertips. However, most of this technology is touch screens, and so they're really good with their thumbs, but they're not really good with the keyboard. And a lot of them do the hunt and peck mechanism, which is use two fingers and go find the numbers and the letters on the keyboard, but they're not really proficient at using a keyboard appropriately. And so, in the last 25 years, the U.S. Department of Education reported that over half of students that were graduating had gone through a keyboarding course. As of 2019, that was only 2.5%. And so administrators are starting to see the effects of this gap in their classrooms.
Yeah, so I think the big question people are thinking watching this today is, why does this matter? Why is it so important that typing makes a comeback in schools?
Sure. Typing is a fundamental skill that affects nearly every aspect of a student's life in school. They're handed a keyboarded device typically around second grade, second or third grade usually, and standardized tests are taken online. And so students who don't know how to type properly are at a disadvantage going and taking those tests, taking those assignments. And the more we talk to teachers, the feedback is that the students who can type are focused on the content, not on the keyboard, and they're more successful throughout their career. So throughout the country, we're hearing more and more that typing curriculum is being brought back into the classroom and into the districts.
So I'm really interested, Dan, in how typing is now being taught differently than it was in the past.
Yeah, it's come a long way from the days of a typewriter or even the basic typing, keyboarding classes that you have a piece of paper and a paragraph and you're typing words over and over for an hour. Programs like Typing.com have made typing fun, interactive, and personalized for students. It uses gamification, so it's fun, and the students want to learn how to type because of the way the program operates. And the best part for teachers, it can be incorporated into the classroom, 3 sessions in a week at 15 minutes a session, and students become proficient at keyboarding.
I think that sounds really awesome. Dan, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Learn more right now at Typing.com. The preceding portion of Studio 512 was sponsored by Typing.com. The following portion of Studio 512 is sponsored by Masshole Lobster Truck Austin. The bright, delicious, very fresh seafood style of the East Coast has made its way all the way down into Central Texas. We're talking in the form of a lobster roll food truck. We're with Nick Alexander, the owner, today, and he's going to talk to us a little bit more about what he offers. Nick, take it away.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, my name is Nick Alexander and I'm the owner of Masshole Lobster Truck Austin. We specialize in lobster rolls. That is truly our bread and butter, pun intended. Now, we do offer a number of other lobster roll varieties. We offer a few traditional options as well as a few twists that we've done. I mean, we like to add a unique edge to our product offerings, and what better way to do that with lobster?
Talk to me about what is so special about a lobster roll, and then some of the fun kind of twists that you've done for some of your food offerings.
So a lobster roll, at least the way that I had it, was in its purest form, in my opinion. That was just with butter, lemons, chives, on a good piece of bread, say no more. It was,
hang on. You have one of those.
I do.
Main style.
So we have the main style, which is the mayonnaise-based one, but then the Connecticut style is the one that I was most familiar with.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, so that was, I mean, it was a summertime treat, really is really what it was. But no, we actually have a number of varieties that we offer. We have actually 6 different varieties. So that's what makes us a little bit unique compared to some of the other lobster roll businesses around town. And then on top of that, we have a number of other lobster roll products such as lobster grilled cheese, a lobster BLT, and a big one that we just launched was a lobster mac and cheese as well.
All right, let's talk about, you know, the Texan reactions to coming to check out your food truck.
Yeah, the reaction has just been absolutely stellar. From those who have never tried it before, and then like you said, we do have a bunch of transplants down here from the Northeast, and they're coming up to the truck absolutely ecstatic and just saying that this tastes like home, right? And everyone's leaving fans at the end of the day. So we only focus on the claw and knuckle meat of the lobster. We actually don't offer any tail-based products here. We believe firmly that the claw and knuckle meat provides the sweetest and softest, sweetest and tenderest meat, and it pairs beautifully with our challah style bread.
Okay, these look amazing. And as we're heading back towards the camera, I'm gonna make sure that the camera gets a little shot of how good this looks. Let's talk about where people can find you, because you only opened in the beginning of May. You're brand new.
Correct. We're brand new and shiny and fresh out of the box. So the best way to find us would actually be on social media or through our main website. So if you go on to Instagram, Facebook, search up Mass Hole Lobster Truck Austin. Make sure it's Austin though, because we do have locations out in Corpus Christi as well as in San Antonio. So if you want to find us here in Austin, make sure you look for Mass Hole Lobster Truck Austin.
And let's get this thing chomped
Great.
on. All right,
Perfect.
cheers to you,
Cheers.
my friend. This looks so good. Yeah, that's good. Follow along on Instagram at Mass Hole Lobster Truck or on Facebook at Mass Hole Lobster Truck Austin to see where the truck's at next and to inquire about event catering. The preceding portion of Studio 512 was sponsored by Mass Hole Lobster Truck Austin. Content segments during Studio 512 were paid for by Paws Veterinary and Power Swabs.